Alright, battlers, welcome back to a brand new episode of Freestyle Fridays. Guys, in this episode, I'm introducing my new battle frame for Freestyles. It is based on the Pokemon Stadium. Pikachu is so hyped about it. I hope you're hyped about it as well. We're going to take a look at our battles from Armature Works this past week and answer the question, what does Freestyle look like in a post-lock-on Registeel world? Guys, my first opponent is Anton Year 28. He's bringing the big, the bad, the ugly Registeel. He does have Umbreon, Tropius, Swampert, Hypno, and Skarmory behind it. My team consists of Venusaur, Poliwrath, Defense Deoxys, Sableye, Lapras, and Lanoon. Going into game one, I will lead with my Sableye. I do have Lanoon as my safe switch and Poliwrath in the back. Guys, my objective is to line up that Poliwrath with the Registeel. Here we go with the Sableye versus Skarmory matchup. I make an immediate swap into Lanoon. Here comes that Registeel, guys, and those lock-ons are so cool. I'm going to fire off the Thunder here, trying to catch him and do some additional damage, and we do, which is great. He does get to his charge move though. Those lock-ons are so freaking fast. In comes the Flash Cannon. I'm so glad that wasn't a close combat. Close combat might have KO'd Lanoon at that stage. And then here, expecting another Thunder, he does shield. So we do earn that first shield from Registeel. We reach a CMP tie, and he does win it. He's going to fire off the Flash Cannon, and I have to let Lanoon go. I decided to bring in my Poliwrath here, and I'm going to charge up really quick with these Mud Shots. Guys, this is old Legacy Mud Shot versus new Lock-On Registeel. We get to that Dynamic Punch so fast, and it is going to land doing super effective damage. Registeel is out for the count, and in comes Hypno. I brought Sableye on my team as the one counter to Hypno. I do get some energy together with Poliwrath before I bail out. Guys, I do go for the Shadow Sneak. Forgive me, this is not the right move to use in this matchup. It's been a while since I played Freestyle, and I feel like when you're so focused on the cups and then you switch into Freestyle, it can really melt your brain. So if I'm using the wrong Sableye moves here in this video, please let me know in the comments below. Always looking to improve. We do earn that second shield from the Skarmory. He's going to fire off the Sky Attack, and I will invest in my Sableye because I need it to defeat that Hypno. I think about fast moving down the Skarmory, but I fire at the Shadow Sneak instead. I need to get to preferably a foul play in order to bring down the Hypno here. He does come in with charge energy though, so my plan is foiled. He's going to Thunder Punch us. I'm not able to get to my move. In comes Poliwrath, and with my last dying gasp, I'm going to fire off the Hydro Pump. Let's see if it's enough. It is not. Hypno is going to get to that Thunder Punch, and Anton is going to beat us in game one. Taking a look at game two, I will lead with Lanoon. I do have Sableye and Poliwrath in the back. Guys, I'm committed to this line of three. I think this is the line that's going to win it for me. I do lead Lanoon into that Skarmory, which is great. Again, I just need to land that Thunder asset on Skarmory, and we might just do that at the end. Stay and watch. So here comes that Registeel, and I swap into my Poliwrath. He does have a slight energy advantage, and it's just enough for him to get off his move. I do shield that attack, expecting something other than Flash Cannon because Poliwrath will resist it, and it was the Focus Blast. So good thing we shielded that. I fire off my first Dynamic Punch, and I get to a second before he can get to a second lock-on. I'm telling you guys, a Poliwrath with Mud Shot has new life now that Registeel is in the meta, and now that Umbreon has its Snarl buffed. We don't shield that Flash Cannon there, and that was great for us. He does make a fantastic swap into Hypno, though, to absorb the Dynamic Punch. That's okay, though, because I bring in my Sableye. I could have brought in Lanoon there because the Shadow Claws would be effective, but I need Lanoon's Thunder for that Skarmory, so that's my thought process there. I do fire up the foul play against Hypno to bring it down. He's going to wait down the switch timer for a few more seconds. Out comes that big bad Registeel. I'm not going to invest in Sableye. Sableye has done its job very honorably indeed. I'm going to fire off the Shadow Sneak here, trying to go for double Shadow Sneak. Maybe foul play was the right move there. Again, let me know. My Sableye play is lacking. So we did encounter a little bit of lag here. I told him that I was not going to burn a shield on my Sableye regardless. So after the lag clears up, I do fire off the Shadow Sneak, and out comes the Skarmory. Skarmory's going to fast move down our Sableye here once the match resumes. I apologize for the lag, guys. It was just a really rough connection. And then I bring in my Lanoon. So Lanoon has about 152 hit points. I looked on PvP Poke, and Sky Attack will only do about 60 damage. So Lanoon here, with its health, I think would have survived this Sky Attack even without the shield. I'm going to fire off the Thunder here, and then one more or two more Shadow Claws will seal the deal. So we beat Anton in game two. I'm going to lead with Poliwrath. I do have Lapras and Sableye in the back. Guys, this is for all of the marbles here. We do lead that Poliwrath right into Umbreon, so this is excellent for us. I'm expecting a swap, and he switches into a Registeel, which tells me that he doesn't have a great answer for my Poliwrath, so I'm very committed to it. Maybe Hypno is not on this team, which is great. So I do fire off my second Dynamic Punch. I'm going to ride this Poliwrath train all the way to the W, guys. He is going to fire off a charge move against us, and it will be the Focus Blast. Again, good thing that I shielded that. That would have really hurt Poliwrath, as you'll see later in the video. Focus Blast is still such a devastating move. We do land that first Dynamic Punch against the Registeel, and I'm going to double shield Poliwrath here. I realize I need it for that Umbreon in the back. I'm trying to mudshot him down, and I actually chicken out. I go for the Dynamic Punch just to seal the deal, and we get there. Guys, the shields are down. Out comes that Hypno, so there was a Hypno. Maybe that was a bad swap. In comes the Umbreon, and I fire off the Foul Play. Guys, I switch here between Shadow Sneak and Foul Play. Again, my mistake. Not very good gameplay by me. But Anton is such an excellent player. He is actually going to bring this game very, very close. He does have that Hypno with the Thunder Punch, and Hypno is just so awesome in Freestyle, guys. 2 notes from Anton's team: Registeel rocks, and Hypno is a great generalist, especially if you can master the confusion animation. Fire off the Shadow Sneak there against the Umbreon. And working down into the red, I'm going to bring out Lapras, and I'm confident I can take at least 2 charge moves here. My goal is to overcharge my Lapras to that Skull Bash, get the CMP. Hopefully he doesn't have enough for a charge move from his Hypno, and then land the Skull Bash. So we're able to farm down the Umbreon. 1 more Ice Shard will get us there, guys, and we fire off the big, colossal Skull Bash against Hypno. We do bring it pretty low, and Lapras does have that defense buff, so the Thunder Punch is still going to be enough, though. I bring in my Poliwrath here, and it's a race, guys. It's a race to Dynamic Punch, and we get there. I think Anton said he had a CMP tie there, so very, very close match. Again, Anton's an awesome trainer. Can't wait to play you again. For Game 2, I faced off against Max Pearson. He was a newcomer to the Armature works. He's bringing Fortress, Cloyster, Alolan Ninetales, Zapdos, Executor, and Lairon. Guys, there's a little bit of Ferocious Team spice to this squad. He is bringing that Alolan Ninetales and the Lairon. He did explain those were from his team for the Ferocious Cup. I'm going to lead with Lanoon. I do have Lapras and Poliwrath in the back. Lanoon is going to lead right into that Alolan Ninetales, so again, with the Ferocious Cup spice, this is a matchup you're going to see a lot in your own Ferocious Cups. Guys, speaking of, I'm recording this on the day of the Big Cup in Richmond. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I want to wish the best to all the players involved, especially my friends from Florida, Lyndon, Jingles, Matt Swar, and then my friend from up north, Call Me Jake. Guys, have fun, and I know you're going to really compete really hard, so whoever wins it, I'm sure will be very deserving. Here we go back into the match here. I do fire off the Dynamic Punch against Fortress. Out comes that Zapdos, and as you can see, Zapdos is running Charge Beam, so it's not going to get to its moves very fast. And as I'm sure you're well aware, without Ancient Power, Zapdos actually doesn't have a move that charges very quickly. So I'm expecting the Zap Cannon or the Thunder, and it is Thunder, so we do shield that correctly. Out comes the Lapras, and I'm trying to go for the Surf here. I think I can get a couple of Surfs off and maybe beat this Alolan Ninetales with the shield. Probably an opportunity there to go for the Skull Bash, because as you're going to see here, he does fire off the charge move, and then these charms are going to add up really quickly against us. Here again, trying to get to another Surf, but we don't quite get there. I decided to bring in my Lanoon here, and I know the Grass Knot will win it for us. We're going to take Game 1 against Max. Max, I hope you had a good time, and I hope you come out to another one. It was a lot of fun to battle against you. For round 2, I will lead Lapras. I do have Lanoon and Poliwrath behind it. So same team, just kind of switching the flow. Here comes Lairon, and I know that the Surf is going to be my greatest asset in this match here. Again, even in Ferocious with B-Barrel, sorry, I actually got corrected by the only best in West on a few Pokemon names, so I'm trying to pronounce them much better. B-Barrel with the Surf and Lairon, that's a similar matchup as you'll see in the Ferocious Cup as well. So we're going to go for the Hydro Pump against Fortress. I think this does a little bit more damage than Dynamic Punch. It's probably not as energy efficient. I don't know, this is another curious matchup. He does land that Earthquake, and I do not shield it, and he's going to bring us down. As you can tell, his Fortress is running Struggle Bug. Guys, if you are struggling to get those fast TMs and charge TMs, hit that like button, guys. We've been tagging Niantic constantly for weeks about this, and hopefully they make a change very soon. Usually they're pretty responsive, especially to us battlers. I think we are the cream of the crop for Pokemon Go in general. I mean, we do it all. We grind Stardust, we shiny hunt, we have legacy Pokemon, we do tons of raids in order to get the rare candies and the TMs and the great legendary Pokemon. And I think that we are a very valuable subsect of their community that they should listen to. And if you agree, hit that like button down there. So we do actually Shadow Claw down the Lairon to win game 2. Going into game 3, I will lead Poliwrath. I do have Lanoon and Lapras behind it. Again, switching the flow, swapping the flow, Hero Venge style. We lead into Lairon, which is great for us. I know the Dynamic Punch is going to do great work. He actually makes a very, very good swap into Zapdos to absorb the Dynamic Punch. So even still, with the newcomer, some next level swapping, Max, very good job there. I am able to Ice Shard down the Zapdos because it is still part flying and Electric does not resist those attacks. So I fire off the Skull Bash and my defense is boosted against this Alola Ninetales. I do get to the Surf as well. So I'm going to be able to withstand a few more charms here, and we are actually able to pull off one more Surf, which is excellent for us. Yeah. Guys, Armature Works is a lot of fun. We do a weekly freestyle there. I feel like it really helps to put our community ahead of other communities that just focus on the cups. I think our community is going to be really ready for the new Battle League. Guys, you see that there? He actually had enough charms to get to a double Psyshock. I have not seen that yet in Ferocious Cup play. I make a risky play there and bring in my Poliwrath, but I know I can withstand the charms and farm up the Alola Ninetales for the Dynamic Punch, and it works perfectly. But yeah, the Go Battle League is going to be really fun in Pokemon Go. I can't wait to see what they do. Going into round 3, we're facing off against the mighty Ferg. Ferg swept his Sinister Cup last month. He's an incredible player. He does have a Azumarill, Ludicolo, Altaria, Registeel, Swampert, and Medicham. Extremely difficult team to plan against, super intense. I'm going to lead with my Lanoon. I do have Defense Deoxys and Venusaur in the back. With this team composition, I knew I had to bring water, especially with Azumarill and Swampert. I do have a bad lead matchup here with Lanoon into that Medicham, so I decided to bring on Defense Form Deoxys. Deoxys is going to be my best chance here. Its counters are going to work down the Registeel over time, and I need that Psycho Boost to beat the Medicham in the back, so I'm going to invest here in my Defense Form Deoxys, give it a shield. He is running the Hyper Beam variant. Guys, this is hardcore, pedal to the metal, 0 to 100. That Hyper Beam is going to hurt almost everything for neutral damage, and it is the only Registeel set that can actually win against Azumarill. So thank you, Matt, for pointing that out, one of my fellow dojo members. Out comes that Ludicolo, and I swap here into Venusaur. In comes the Medicham. I was able to farm up some energy from Ludicolo, so the Frenzy plants are flying, guys. We are putting some pressure on this Medicham here. He does fire up a move. If it's Ice Punch, I can survive, but it's Psychic. So my Venusaur is going to go down there hard. I decide to wait down the switch timer and bring in my Defense Form Deoxys. The shields are down, so the Psycho boosts are coming. I actually think I can get to a double one here, and we do exactly that. So even though Medicham is part Psychic, Defense Form Deoxys with a Psycho boost can defeat it, as you're going to see right here. We get to a third Psycho boost, which is awesome. Medicham falls, out comes that Ludicolo, and I go right into Lanoon. I think I can get to the Thunder here. Maybe should have gone for the Grass Knot, but he's going to hit us with a huge Ice Beam, and we actually are able to reach the Thunder at the last second to bring down Ludicolo and win Game 1 against the mighty Ferg. Going into Game 2 against Ferg, I will lead Defense Form Deoxys. I have Lanoon and my Venusaur in the back. Guys, Ferg is a master at adapting. He does bring in that Altaria, and I am already not loving this matchup. I knew I could not face off against Altaria. He just switched into his Registeel, which is great, but I realized that on my team, all I have to defend against the Altaria are the Rock Slides from Defense Deoxys. So I'm going to invest heavily in Defense Form Deoxys. I think if I can get this Registeel out of the way, I might be able to finesse my way through the rest of the match. He does fire up that Hyper Beam, and again, Registeel is an excellent shield buster. It breaks all these shields. Expecting something different, I do shield, but it's just the Hyper Beam. I think Lanoon probably could have survived that. I'm able to farm down for some extra energy. Out comes Medicham. I go straight for the Grass Knot here, but I lured out the Medicham. So again, Defense Form Deoxys is my best answer to all three of his Pokemon, Altaria, Registeel, and his Medicham. Guys, we just learned that Medicham has Dynamic Punch. Ferg is not messing around. Out comes my Venusaur, and in comes that Altaria. He has 2 shields, and the Sky Attack is coming, and at this point, I know this is pretty much GG's. I cannot force my way back through these 2 shields with such a weak Defense Form Deoxys. Again, Ferg adapts very, very well. He's able to claim victory in Game 2 here. I think one more Sky Attack will do it. and he does just that. Going into game 3 against Ferg, we force a third match. I'm leading with Lapras. I do have Poliwrath and Venusaur in the back. Going right into game 3 here, I will lead Lapras into that Registeel. I want to save my Lapras just in case he brought that Altaria, so I'm going to make the fast swap into Poliwrath. Poliwrath is going to encounter this Medicham, and guys, check this out. We are going to go for the cheeky Hydro Pump, and it lands devastating damage against the Medicham. We are going to shield this first attack, expecting the Psychic, and it is. We're going to go here for a few more Mud Shots to form up some energy, and then the Dynamic Punch. I'm either going to get that Medicham or a shield, and we actually take down the Medicham. Out comes Ludicolo, and those Razor Leafs are adding up quickly, but we do fire off our Dynamic Punch against it to do a ton of damage. So he's saving both of those shields for that Registeel in the back. He is really banking on the big bad ugly. I do bring in my Venusaur here. He makes a fast swap, and I go into Lapras. Hoping to absorb the attack here, I do shield with the Focus Blast, which is really good because that would have really hurt Lapras. I do fire off my Surf here. Just trying to put as much pressure on the Registeel as possible. I know another attack is coming. The question is, can I survive it? It is another Focus Blast, and Lapras does pull it out. These lock-ons are so... the damage they do is so minimal. It's 1 damage per turn, but guys, it's going to add up quickly, as you will see here in the final seconds. This match is really, really insane. Probably the craziest Freestyle match I've ever played, guys. If you enjoyed this match, please leave a like. The ending is coming, and it is insane. You will not believe it. I do fire off my Frenzy Plant here to force that shield. He's going to fire off his attack, and I don't know if I can survive it. It's actually the Hyper Beam. Venusaur is extremely weak. Out comes Ludicolo, and I have to fire off the Frenzy Plant because those Razor Leafs will shred my Venusaur. In comes that Registeel, guys, and look at this. Death by lock-on. Such a crazy ending to a crazy match. I think his Registeel left with 1 hit point. We almost pulled that out, but Ferg is an elite trainer, and I'm very proud of my showing there. GG's, Ferg. I will face you again very soon. My round 4 opponent is my dear friend and fellow dojo member, Church. Church is ringing his Togekiss, Umbreon, Swampert, Probopass, Beedrill, and Medicham. Very interesting team comp by Church here. He keeps his Freestyle team on lock with a few changes week to week. So I do leave with Lapras. I have Defense Form Deoxys and Poliwrath in the back. I think the Counter User and Dynamic Punch are my 2 keys to this game. I lead Lapras into Beedrill, which is excellent. That's exactly what I wanted. Out comes that Probopass, and I contemplate going for the Surf, but I do not. I decided to bring in my Poliwrath here. I know I can take 1 Thunderbolt, and I do just that. I cannot tank another, but I know that I can get to 2 Dynamic Punches before he's able to bring us down. We're going to fire off our first Dynamic Punch, and it does get shielded. Guys, I think Poliwrath has enough left in the tank to survive these sparks. He does go for the Rock Slide, but here comes another Dynamic Punch from us. I'm either going to take that second shield or the Probo, and we get that shield, which is great. So I wait the switch timer down for a few seconds here and decide to bring in my Defense Form Deoxys. The counter's going to add up really quickly. Out comes that Togekiss, and the shields are down. Usually this is a losing matchup for Defense Form Deoxys, but the Rock Slides are flying. I think if I get to the Psycho Boost, I can KO the Togekiss, and we get there. It turns out that it is enough damage. Togekiss is out of the game. He's got 2 pokes left, but I have 1 shield to my advantage. He does bring in that Beedrill again, and I'm going to shield this attack. I want to keep my Defense Form Deoxys around to deal with that Probopass. I do farm up a little bit of extra energy, and I go for the heavy Skull Bash with Lapras. Guys, this Skull Bash is going to crush the Beedrill, bringing it down. Out comes that Probopass. He's going to fire off what I assume is a Thunderbolt, and it is. We actually talked after the games, and he probably should have been throwing Rock Slide there. It was just not Church's day, but luckily for us, we were able to pull this game out with the Surf and win round 1. Jumping right into game 2, I lead Venusaur. I do have Defense Form Deoxys and Poliwrath in the back. I will lead Venusaur into Umbreon. Not a bad match, even after the buff that Snarl got. I am going to swap, though, into Poliwrath, and he's going to bring out Swampert. So I ran these simulations in PvPoke, and I know that Poliwrath can win. The Dynamic Punch is so devastating that if I land 2 of them, it will bring down the Swampert, and of course, we're going to resist those Hydro Cannons. So we do land 1 Dynamic Punch, and he's going to fire off an attack. It will be the Hydro Cannon, so again, Poliwrath can tank that. I think I can get to another, and we do. So we're going to put a ton of pressure on the Swampert. He is going to decide to shield it, though, and go for his own attack. I'm going to put some pressure on him as well, deciding to shield the Sludge Wave, and then I'm going to make the swap into Defense Form Deoxys. In comes that Umbreon, though, and this is not a great matchup for me. He has switch-locked himself, though, so if I can let my Deoxys fall quickly enough, I can bring in my Poliwrath and use the Dynamic Punch to bring down Umbreon. So I'm going to decide not to shield again, trying to sacrifice my defense form Deoxys as quickly as possible. We actually have that Umbreon within KO range. He's going to fire off an attack, and I know I have to shield this. Only question is if he has another charge move ready, and he doesn't quite get there. We're going to beat him to the punch. Pun intended. Here comes Dynamic Punch. Umbreon goes down, and I'm awaiting his next Pokemon. It will be that Swampert that is very weak. I look for the swap there, but it's not needed. Out comes Probopass, and I go for the Dynamic Punch. This is going to land doing a super effective amount of damage, and we're going to mudshot down Probopass to win Game 2. For Game 3, I will lead Lapras. I do have Poliwrath and Defense Form Deoxys. Again, I think this is the winning combination. He does lead Togekiss, so we catch the lead. Perfect. He is going to swap into that Swampert. I contemplate staying in here for a few moments. I'm going to charge up some energy and shield my Lapras. I'm going to save it for that Togekiss matchup in the back, and I actually make the swap here perfectly to absorb the Hydro Cannon with my Poliwrath. So at this range, I think I might be able to KO with a Dynamic Punch. I'm going to allow this attack through, knowing that it had to be Hydro Cannon. I know these Mudshots are not going to do much damage to me, so I'm comfortable allowing that attack through, knowing that his fast move is not going to be very effective. So we bring down the Swampert. In comes the Probopass, trying to farm up some energy, but guys, we make him pay. We get to that Dynamic Punch here, and we're going to burn that shield on Probo. I consider Church a Probo master. His gameplay with it is very exceptional. I think on this day, I had just a better team comp in these sets. So I do fire off the Surf against the Togekiss, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on this thing. I think one more Surf can bring it down, and he does allow it through. So he's banking on the Probopass here. He does decide to go here for the Thunderbolt. Again, I think it should have been Rock Slide, but that's okay. I do fire off the Surf here, trying to put some more pressure on Probopass, and I know if one Surf lands, it probably will do the trick. However, we reach a CMP tie, and he's actually going to get his move off first. It will be the Rock Slide to bring us down. I bring in my Defense Form Deoxys, but I know that this is pretty much GG's. There's nothing that Probopass can throw that I won't be able to take. I actually go here for the Rock Slide. Not sure which is the better move in the moment. Again, my Freestyle matchups can fail me at times, but luckily we pull out this game and we win that game, that round against Church. Battlers, if you enjoyed this content, please smash that subscribe button, leave me a like, and then let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of Freestyle Fridays. Do you like this series? Do you want to see more? Do you want it to be more than one day a week? Let me know what your thoughts are. I appreciate you so much for watching until the end, and I will see you in the next one.